The desert of Rephidim stretched wide and empty, a land of shimmering heat and whispering winds. Israel, newly freed from the chains of Egypt, marched across the sand like a single heartbeat. They were a people still learning to trust the God who had split the sea and drowned Pharaoh's army. But in the wilderness, freedom would be tested. Far beyond the dunes, hidden among the ridges, watched a ruthless tribe, the Amalekites. Nomads of the desert, swift and merciless, they preyed on the weary and the slow. As the Israelites rested from their long journey, a dark cloud of warriors began to move. Spears caught the glint of the sun. The sound of war drums rolled like distant thunder. Without warning, Amalek struck. Cries of alarm tore through the camp. The elderly and the children were the first in danger. Dust and chaos filled the air. The people who had only recently tasted liberty now faced their first true battle. Moses, the prophet of the Most High, did not hesitate. He called for his young aide, Joshua, a man of courage though still new to the ways of war. "Choose some men," Moses commanded, his voice steady despite the rising fear. "Tomorrow, go out and fight with Amalek. I will stand on the hilltop with the rod of God in my hand." Joshua bowed and turned to gather fighters, ordinary men who had never before raised a sword in defense of their nation. That night the camp hummed with nervous preparation, sharpening blades, whispering prayers, glancing at the stars for courage. At first light, Joshua led his chosen warriors into the valley where the enemy waited. The clash of shields and the cry of warriors shattered the morning stillness. High on a nearby hill, Moses climbed with two companions, Aaron, his brother, and Hur, a trusted elder. In his hand, Moses held the staff of God, the very rod that had struck the Nile and parted the Red Sea. He raised it toward heaven, a silent plea for divine help. Below, the battle raged. At first, Israel surged forward, pushing Amalek back. But Moses noticed something strange. Whenever his hands remained lifted, Israel prevailed. When his arms grew weary and lowered, the Amalekites gained ground. Sweat ran down his brow. His arms trembled. The fight below swung like a pendulum with the rise and fall of his hands. Aaron and Hur quickly understood. They rolled a stone beneath Moses so he could sit. Then, standing on either side, each grasped one of his arms. Together they held them steady, unwavering, until the sun began to slide toward the western hills. Hour after hour the struggle continued. Swords ringing, dust rising, the shouts of warriors mixing with the cries of the wounded. Yet above the fray, the staff of God remained lifted, an unbroken sign of heaven's power. As the evening light turned gold, strength surged through Joshua's fighters. With a final charge, they drove the Amalekites from the field. The desert grew quiet, except for the heavy breathing of men who had fought their first great battle. The enemy was defeated. When the dust settled, the Lord spoke to Moses. "Write this as a memorial in a book, and tell it to Joshua, for I will utterly blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven." In the fading light, Moses built an altar of rough stones and named it Yahweh Nissi. "The Lord is my banner." Then he declared, "Because the Lord has sworn, the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation." That day, Israel learned a truth that would echo through their history. Victory does not belong to the strength of human arms alone. It belongs to the God who hears the prayers of his people, the God whose power is lifted like a banner over every battle,